Welcome to Excel Part 2 at the Ela Area Public Library. This is an abridged version of the class normally held on site. While the library is currently closed, you may still access our handouts on the website eapl.org. Then from the links on the left-hand side of the home page, we will select Research, followed by Reference Department at Home, and then we will click Computer Class Handouts. From these links at the top, you will see that Excel is here on the middle line. So we'll click Excel, and that will bring us to our Excel documents here. Here's Excel Part 2. So we will click Download here on the right-hand side to bring up our handout. Now let's go back to the class handout page. And here, where the Excel 2 files are, we're going to download two additional files. The first is Budget Example. So we're going to click that. Since I'm using Chrome, you will see a button will appear here in the lower left with an arrow. So I'm going to click the arrow and then select Open to open the file. Now I'm going to go back to the web page and do the same thing with the Census data file. And then again, I'll click the arrow and select Open. If you are using a different file other than Chrome, you may need to access the files in a different manner. For example, they may appear in your download folder, or you may have the option to save them elsewhere on your computer. To begin, let's switch back to the budget document. If your document reads Protected View at the top, you will need to click the Enable Editing button, like so. Now, if you look below at the budget table, and if you took Excel Part 1, this budget table should look familiar because it is the one we created in the previous class. Our first task is to create a pie chart with the information in our budget table. Before we do that, let's first scroll up slightly so that row 1 will show at the top. From there, we'll click the Insert tab and then look at the Charts group here in the middle of the ribbon. Before we select a chart, we need to highlight the information we need from the budget table. In this case, we want to choose the three categories: grocery, mortgage, and entertainment. And then we want to choose the corresponding three category totals. However, highlighting the category totals will then unhighlight the categories. So how do we highlight two separate portions of our budget table at the same time? Let's re-highlight groceries, mortgage, and entertainment. And then we're going to hold the Control key on the keyboard. And while we're holding that down, we can highlight the three category totals. You can now see we have the categories and the totals highlighted at the same time. From there, let's go up to the charts. This icon here is the Insert Pie Chart command. So we're going to click the arrow next to that and select the 3D pie option. And then, as you can see, we're going to need to move our chart so that it's out of the way of the budget table. We are now going to make some stylistic changes to our chart. To begin, let's give it another name. So we're first going to click on here where it reads Chart Title. From there, we can highlight the text and then rename it. In this case, we'll rename it to Budget. Let's now click a blank section of the chart, and we're going to look at these three commands on the upper right. Right now, let's look at this plus sign here. That is the Chart Elements command. So if we click that command, a list will appear in which you can see chart title and legend are both checked. And you can see they are both here within the chart. However, data labels is not. So what happens if we check data labels? You see, we now have our numerical figures on each section of the pie chart. We do have the option to change the data labels. For example, what if we wanted to change the dollar amount to percentage? To do so, we would go back up to chart elements, and then from there go back to data labels. You'll see that we now have a small arrow to the right of data labels. So we're going to click that, and from the list to the right, most of these options will move the data label to a different portion of the chart. However, we're going to select more options, which will bring up a task pane. In particular, we want to look at label options here. And from that list, we're going to check percentage and then uncheck value. And then to remove the task pane, we can click the X here in the upper right. Now, if we go back to our budget, you'll see that each piece of the pie chart now shows a percentage as opposed to a dollar amount. We are now going to make some style and color changes to our pie chart. To do so, we're going to choose the second command on the upper right, the Chart Styles command, and we'll click that to bring up a menu with two tabs. The first is Style. So if you scroll down and hover over a different style, you will see how that will change the appearance of our chart over on the left. I'm going to select this option. Now, if we go back up to the top and select color, we have two different styles of color themes. The first one is for colorful. As you can see, if I hover over these, each section of the pie is a different color. Or we could do monochromatic, which will give us different shades of the same color for our pie chart. Shades of green, for example, or shades of orange. We're going to select the fourth option under colorful so that each piece of the pie will be easy to distinguish. And then we'll click away and you can see how we have changed the appearance of our chart. Let's begin to examine the formulas and functions in Excel. The first that we're going to look at is a built-in Excel function which will give us the current date and time. So we're going to scroll up first and then select cell K1 to make it the active cell. From there, we're going to switch from the Insert tab to the Formulas tab. The formulas are organized into different categories on the upper left of the ribbon in the Function Library. We have financial formulas, for example, logical, date and time, and so on. We're going to click Date and Time, and then to select the current time, we're going to choose the formula called Now. So we'll click that, which will bring up a box reading Function Arguments. Note here, it says the formula result equals volatile. That simply means that the result will change. So we're going to click OK. Now if we look at cell K1, you will see a group of number signs which together resemble train tracks. Whenever you see that, it means that the cell is not wide enough to contain the result. So in that case, we'll go between the K and the L so that we can auto format the width of the column. by double clicking, and then that will give us our current date and time. We are now going to create an advanced Excel formula from scratch. And we're going to do that in cell E11. So first, we're going to need to move our budget table out of the way. Then we'll click cell E11, and at the top in the formula bar, we're going to type the formula as shown. So we'll start with the equal sign. All formulas in Excel start with equal. And then if, open parenthesis, sum, open parenthesis, and we're going to go from cell E6 through to cell E8, close parenthesis. Then we're going to do the less than sign, followed by 2000, comma, quotation mark, under budget, close quotation mark, comma, another quotation mark, over budget, close quotation mark, and then finally we're going to close parenthesis, like so. And now when I hit enter, and we go back to the result of cell E11, you will see that it reads over budget. This formula is known as an if-then formula. So basically what it's saying is if the result is under 2000, it will read under budget. If it's over 2000, it will read over budget. As you can see, this is a very long and tedious formula, and you have to be careful to get all the symbols correct. For example, if you were to miss a single comma, that could mess up the result of the formula. Now, rather than type the same formula under all the other months, what we're going to do is use the fill handle, and that will carry the formula all the way through to the month of July. You can see that the result for all the other months is under budget, as each has a monthly total less than 2,000. If you go to July entertainment, however, and change the total from 100 to 3,000, then the result will change from under budget to over budget, like so. We're now going to resort the categories in our budget table based on the results of column L. So first, we need to highlight all of our categories and all the totals that correspond to those categories. Then we're going to resort by column L, or category total, and we're going to resort from the largest total to the smallest. So from there, we need to click the Home tab, and then on the right of the ribbon, we'll click the Sort and Filter command, and from the list that appears, we will select Custom Sort. The Sort box will appear after we select Custom Sort. Let's first look at column here on the left, and we're going to select the arrow next to Sort By. And from there, we want to choose column L, which corresponds to the category totals. The middle option is Sort On. We want to keep it at values, but some of the other choices are cell color and font color and cell icon. The right option is the order. Right now it reads smallest to largest. So we want to select the arrow and change that to largest to smallest, and then click the OK button. Now if you look at our budget table, you'll see we have resorted the categories based on the category totals from the largest figure to the smallest. We are now going to do a few stylistic changes to our table. First, we're going to select budget in cell C2, and we're going to use the Merge and Center command. What we need to do first is click inside of the cell like so, and then drag all the way out to column J. So we've highlighted everything from C2 to J2. Now we're going to click the Merge and Center command, which is here in the middle of the ribbon, like so. So we have now created an extra large cell in which the text is centered. The next thing we're going to do will be to change the color of our text. So we're going to double click inside the cell, highlight the word budget, and then we're going to go to the font color command, the A with the red bar below it. So we'll click that down arrow and then we'll choose blue as our color. Now let's change the background color of our cell with the fill color command, which is located next to the font color command. For some reason, the command is inactive. As you can see, it's light gray. So we're going to click a cell away from budget. We'll click back into the cell, and now we can access our command. We'll click the down arrow and we'll choose a light gray color. And now we've changed the background color of our cell. Now let's look at the wrap text command, which is here above Merge and Center. Let's first select cell A1, where it reads Ela Area Public Library. As you can tell, the name of the library is too wide for the cell. We can make the column wider in order to fit the text. However, what if we want to keep our column the same width? In that case, we just simply click the wrap text command, and now the size of the row is larger, so we can fit the entire name of the library into the width of the column. Before we go back to our formulas, let's add some sheets to our document. So if you look here in the lower left, it reads Sheet 1. That is currently the only sheet in the document. However, you notice we have a plus sign here to the right. So let's click the plus sign, and now we've added an additional sheet here. If we click the plus sign again, we've added a third sheet, like so. Then when you want to switch from one sheet to another, you simply click the sheet you wish to access. So we'll switch over to sheet 1, sheet 2, and now back to sheet 3. Furthermore, we can rename our sheets by right-clicking. So let's do that to sheet 3. We're going to right-click, select Rename from the list, and then we'll call it something like 2020. Perhaps you want to do your budget for the year 2020 here. Furthermore, you can delete a sheet in the same manner. We'll right-click and then delete, like so. So let's go back to our formulas. We're going to do a formula for a car payment in two different ways. In the first way, we're going to do it from scratch. In the second way, we are going to use a built-in Excel formula. So let's examine the relevant information for our car payment. The price of the car is $18,000. The annual percentage rate is 8%, and that's paid monthly, so that'll be 12 payments a year. And the length of the loan will be for 5 years, but again, keep in mind we do our payments monthly, so that'll be 60 months in total. So let's go back to our Excel document, and on sheet 2, we'll click cell D1, then go up to the formula bar to add the formula for our car payment. So we begin with equals as always, then PMT, open parenthesis, then 8% for the annual percentage rate, which we need to divide by 12 since we pay monthly, then comma, and then 60 for total of months, and then the total price is $18,000, and we do not want to put a comma in the price or it'll mess up our formula. Then close parenthesis and then enter. And you'll see the result is red, which means it's a debit that we pay out, and our monthly payment total is $364.98. So here again is the formula we just created for our car payment. Fortunately, we usually do not have to create a formula from scratch, but rather we could use the built-in Excel formulas. Now let's go back to our budget table. And here we're going to select a cell close to our original result. Let's select cell F1. Now we'll select the Formulas tab at the top. And now we're going to use the Insert Function command because that'll give us the ability to do a specific type of search. After we select Insert Function, the Insert Function box will appear, and at the bar on the top, we're going to do a specific search for a car payment, like so. And then we'll click the Go button to the right. You will see that these functions in the middle of the box will change to go along with our search. The first one reads PV. So what does that mean exactly? Fortunately, if you look below the box, the highlighted function will display here as well as a definition. So this one reads, returns a present value of an investment, the total amount that a series of future payments is worth now. So that doesn't sound right. So we'll try the next one, FV. That one doesn't sound right either. Let's try PMT here. That one reads, calculates the payment for a loan based on constant payments and a constant interest rate. That sounds like a car payment. So let's click the OK button. That will bring up the function arguments box. And here we simply need to fill in the pertinent information in the following boxes. So we'll begin with rate, which is 8%. But remember, we need to divide it by 12 because it's monthly. Then the total number of payments is 60. And the value, the present value of the car is $18,000. We do not need to do anything regarding the future value or the type. So we're going to click OK. Before we do that, though, notice that in the lower left of the box, we get a preview of our formula result. We can already see prior to rounding the formula result that the result is correct. So let's click OK. And now if we go back up to cell F1, we will see that our total there is also 364.98. As you can see, the result in cell F1 is the exact same as the result of cell D1. Furthermore, you can see that the formula used to get the result of F1 is the same as the formula we used in D1 when we created the formula from scratch. So if you're not sure how to create a formula to get a specific result, chances are you will be able to find it in the built-in Excel formulas in the function library. You may also find it useful to browse through your function library to determine what built-in formulas are available. Let's try Math and Trig. That'll bring up a long list of formulas. If you are unsure what a specific formula means, For example, the fourth one, ACOT, simply put your cursor on top of it and the definition will appear. The definition for ACOT is returns the arc cotangent of a number in radians in the range 0 to pi. So you may need to be a mathematician to understand that, but it's good to know we can quickly get a brief definition of our formulas by moving the cursor on top of each of the formulas. Now let's switch from the budget document to the census document. This is a huge Excel file containing figures from the 2000 census. Before we begin, note that many of the techniques we applied earlier have been applied here as well. For example, you'll notice that merge and center has been used here. If you look here, you'll see that text wrapping has been applied, and here as well. And then if we look on the bottom, you'll see that many tabs have been added and that they have been renamed. This document has an enormous amount of data. If we scroll to the bottom, you'll see that we have 1,383 rows. Furthermore, if you scroll to the right, you'll see we have a lot of columns here as well. This document will serve to demonstrate some of the helpful techniques that will help you to navigate a huge Excel document. To demonstrate one of the issues with a huge document, let's look at the very top here, where it reads sex and age characteristics of the population. It's broken up into numerous columns. For example, there's male, female, 0 to 4 years, 5 to 9 years, and so on. On the left-hand side, in column A, are all the various zip codes that are in our census document. So if we go down to cell 200, you'll see we no longer have access to our headings, and that can make it confusing when it comes to interpreting the census data. Fortunately, we can solve this issue with the freeze panes command. So we're going to go back up to the top, and now let's click on the View tab. And then you'll notice roughly in the middle we have the freeze panes command. This command will freeze a portion of the sheet to keep it visible while you scroll through the rest of the sheet. Before we use that command, we need to select a portion of the document that we want to freeze. Let's select row 11, and that will freeze everything above that pane. So we will go back to the freeze panes command, and we'll simply choose the first option on the list, like so. And now if we scroll down our rows, the headings will remain. And this way, if we go to row 200, we'll be able to access all the data and look at the headings at the same time. The freeze panes command will also work with columns. So if we unfreeze and now click on column D, go back to freeze panes like so, we can now scroll from left to right while being able to read our figures on the left-hand side. Another useful way to navigate a large file like this is the split command, which is here just to the right of freeze panes. So first, let us unfreeze our panes, like so, and now we need to find somewhere to split our document. So let's scroll down to row 35, which is roughly here in the middle, and then click split, like so. So you may notice there's a gray bar in the middle. It's a little bit hard to see, That's where the panes are split. Furthermore, we have two scroll bars on the right-hand side. So on the top, I can scroll down here to row 250, and then on the bottom, I can scroll all the way down to row 1020. This way, we can easily examine the census figures for these two zip codes, which are in different portions of the document. Unfortunately, the split command does not work with freeze panes. So if you're using the split command, you may need to write down your headings so that you remember them. To remove our split panes, we simply go back up to the split command and click. And now we're back to a single pane. Now let's click on column M. And again, we're going to click the split command. So we've split our document into two panes again, but this time one side is on the left and the other side is on the right. The final technique that we're going to look at is the filtering command. So we're going to unsplit the document, then we're going to select the Data tab. The filter command is here in the middle of the ribbon, and we are going to use that command to show only those zip codes in which the median age is 50 or higher. Filtering can be somewhat tricky. We're going to look at column S, which has median age, and then we need to look at years, which is in row 10. So we first want to click row 10. And then from there, we'll select the filter command. And if we go back to row 10, you will notice that all of the cells in that row have a down arrow. So let's click the down arrow by median age. And that will open up a menu with different sorting options. We are going to select number filters, and from here, we will go to greater than or equal to, because remember, we are looking at zip codes in which the median age is 50 or higher, greater than or equal to 50. So we're going to type 50 in this box here and then click OK. You will see that we have dramatically reduced the amount of rows in our document. In fact, there are only 5 zip codes in which the median age is 50 or higher. If you look at median age and the cell which reads years under the median age, you will notice there is now a small symbol showing a filter. That means we have applied the filter command to that cell. If we click on the filter, we can change our parameters. So we'll go back to number filters, and this time we'll choose custom filter. So on the top, we will select greater than or equal to 42, and then with the arrow on the bottom, we will choose is less than and select 45, and then we'll click OK. And now we're looking at zip codes in which the median age is between 42 and 45. These previous techniques will help you to navigate a large Excel document. And with that, we are done with Excel Part 2. Hopefully you will find it useful, and thank you for watching.